got to do with the whole gambling thing. We're talking about gambling. There's a big shuvah. This is a shuvah with Sitz Eliezer. But basically, for 1,000 or so years, or whatever, however long it was, after Churban Abayis, there was a minyan klashal, no music. That's what it sounds like. People didn't play music. Nowadays, it sounds like a Meshuggah thing. No music. How can you live without music? There was a time where people didn't play music. Until around 1560, I don't know when exactly it is, there was a Yid in Venice called, he was the Rav of Venice, Yehuda Aryeh Modena, and he was very much in favor of music. He was apparently this crazy Eloi. At the age of 2.5, he read the Torah in shul. At the age of 3.5, he translated Gemara to Italian. This is the level of genius this guy was at, right? He was translating to Italian at the age of 4. So he was a crazy Eloi, and he was very much in favor of music. And he writes in his what's it called? Story about himself, whatever. In those days, the Rav his autobiography. He wasn't like supported by the Kil. He was a Rav, but they used to have many jobs. He had like 27 other jobs besides being of Venice. Yehuda Aryeh Modena, right? So he, slightly controversial figure, maybe, but so he was the one that started off the whole thing. They're like, we need music in shul. He put choir in shul, and he put choir after shul, and he made the bands, and basically it turns out in those days what they used to do is they used to like literally stand behind the wall of the church, hear what they played, and they copied them. They basically copied the church music, right? And it was a whole big child like, what's mutter, what's also. So take a look at the Sitz Eliezer over here. But basically he was in favor of everything. The Rambam seems, it's a big machak. The Gemara says the music's also to do nowadays, right?
Sitz Eliezer is Rautenberg.
Yeah. So he writes a whole tshuva about his tshuva. He doesn't like what he says. He's basically coming to say that it's all mutter, it's all good. The Rambam seems to be saying halacha l'maisa, as long as the words aren't possible. If you take a goyish song, as long as the goyish song doesn't say divrei nevala and whatever it is, and it's fine. You don't even have to change the words, right? Other places say you change the words, the Hebrew words, but the actual nigun, there's nothing wrong with that. All the Hasidim use, goyish and nigunim. They Gary used army marches, and it looks like in the Zman of the Rishonim, they were all using Arab nigunim. It was very common. They sang Arab tunes.
Have you been to Rome?
No.
There's a shul in Rome I went to.
Yeah.
It was just like a church. It was like I was in an Episcopal church in Indiana. My dad used to say that.
Sounded the same thing.
Yeah, I was afraid. It was
really,
yeah, robes and
so. The place him say is that you see wherever the Jews lived, they absorbed the music of where they lived. Right. So it turns out that there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. We want to say there's the neshama of whoever. I think the Chassidim say you absorb some of the neshama of whoever at the nigun. That's all alpi whatever it is. Halacha l'maisa, the Pasha says. Now, when is it also? Chazal says it's also to play music. Also, I can't remember the pasuk. Music is also. So it's a big machlokes. So what's also? Is it only? I think some places say only when, and this I think Bistama had the Shulchan Aruch part, is only when it's with wine and the sudas chaverim, any type of shiras dveika, singing Hakadosh Baruch Hu, it's for sure mutter and it's a mitzvah. Playing, the place can say that if Chazal were geyser not to listen to music, that's only instruments. If you're having a CD or MP3 or whatever it is, there's nothing wrong with that because you can only use the gzera that they said. They said musical instruments. The CD is not musical instruments. So a big shiloh, why one of these was getting to Sukkah is, what's the din nowadays? Based on that term I spoke about, is there a heter nowadays, let's say, for example, to play music in a chasna, right? Well, that's simchas chasna, so maybe that's mutter. You go to there's bars they play music, or a cafe they play music, and if you're drinking coffee, it's okay. We'll see in a minute if you're allowed to drink in the street. It's another shiloh. That's the next sim in the Shulchan Aruch. The Apostle Eidos. We're about to see that.
Instruments for Hallel here?
So that's fine, because it's Shus, it's Baruch, that's fine. But what if a guy goes to a bar or a restaurant, they play music and he's drinking alcohol? That's mamish, this is the Chazal Geyser, and there's no heter. I don't know what the heter is. That you can't say it's a CD, you can't say there's no alcohol. They were Geyser. For sure, alcohol, to play music with alcohol, you're chayshish there's going to be, bad things going to happen. That's also goma. I don't know if anyone's muttering it. I never saw anyone muttering it. I don't know if it ever happens. But l'chayr, that's also. Well, sitting around with your friends, you playing instruments and just drinking beer while your friends are playing the guitar. I don't know if it's mutter.
We have a week.
I think now you're getting it's mutter, but
I'd love to be able to rap the Shemon Esrei. For Purim.
You know, in Europe, there were Gedolim who went to the opera.
it's fine. What's wrong with the opera? Gewaldig.
Music.
Yeah.
By the way, there's good Charlie here. There's no entrance to it. I'm adopting with other hats.
Okay, let's go. Let's take a look inside. Let's take a look inside this Tzitz Eliezer, because he really doesn't like this whole Mahalach. He doesn't like this whole
There's another Charlie here, but it's cut off.
Oh, I know. Good.
the hat Shaila, yeah. Because you'll see that's part of the original Shaila also. Sorry. Whoops. Okay. So start over here. No, I got it. Start over here on B'shulei HaTshuva, on page where it says where there's English writing on the top. Take a look where it says B'shulei HaTshuva. So
Lamed Alf, Lamed Beis.
Lamed Aleph. So he basically says, page Lamed Aleph, B'shulei
Left
HaTshuva,
column.
left column, a third of the way down. So it's just interesting. It's just like a really interesting piece, and it's actually totally against what happened to me yesterday. You'll see in a second. So a quick hakdama. The Rabbi Yehuda Aryeh Mimodena was a Talmud of who? Of the Heilige Maram Shik, right? And the Maram Shik, Katzenellenberger, which is actually where I picked up my car in Hanof from, right? Ruchov Katzenellenberger. So
Top or bottom. My kids lived
the
up
top.
23.
So this was 76 Katzenellenberger. So Maram Shik, he was very close to the Ramah and the Beis Yosef and the Marshal. He was one of the Gedalim, the Maram Shik,
Very
Katzenellenberger.
Machmir.
And he and apparently Rabbi Yehuda, whatever you're going to say about Rabbi Yehuda Ari Modena, he was the one. He was one of his Talmidim. I mean, he was the one that wrote down all the Torah of not all, but definitely in his late years, all Torah of the Maram Shik.
All, according to Wikipedia, he was addicted to gambling.
So, when he was 13, he wrote a tshuva, a whole sefer about gambling, because that's what we're talking about now, about gambling, against gambling. He's a person that lost all his fortune gambling. He was addicted to gambling, as we're going to see. He writes in his tshuva, he was a major gambler. He couldn't control himself. Even on Shivas Batamas, he wrote he couldn't help himself. He gambled, he lost tons of money. But he shouldn't be gambling on Shivas Batamas. So, there's two mahalchim. One is a mahalch that all the Gedalim are all Kedaishim with Torah, and they never did anything wrong. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with gambling. L'chayr, what we've learned today, till now, is that you gamble all the goy is 100% mutar. It might actually be posel eidus if you don't have another job. He had 27 other jobs. So he wasn't posel eidus. And l'chayr, if you gamble goy, it's not even asa, according to any shitas. Is it bittul Torah? Okay, maybe he needed maybe he needed a break, he needed whatever it was, he needed he had tremendous chance. That's why he gambled. He had 3 sons. He lost them all. One died. One was killed by a group of 8 Jews who surrounded him and killed the son. He says, "Yimach Shemam, they should die," and whatever it is. And one of them, went off a derech. He kicked him out of the town, right? And he never saw him again. He only came back after he. Anyway, so the Jews in those days, they lived very close with the goy, and they intermingled. In Venice, it was like one. They all went.
There was a Jewish quarter in Venice. It was not interspersed.
Well, it depends. I think that started much later on. That was like I think that was a couple hundred years later. There was a Jewish quarter of Venice. You go visit a Jewish quarter of Venice. Yeah. It's beautiful. So they lived very close to the goyim. They make the ones going, and in fact, the goyim used to come. He was an opera singer, and he was a musician. He taught dance, taught music, and the goyim used to come to hear the davening in the shuls. And the goyim used to come. It was like he was on a very high level.
What was his last name?
Yudari Modena. I guess he was from
Very
Modena.
interesting. Check it out. Check it out.
A fascinating character.
Then there's a Talmud,
So take a look in the Tzitz Eliezer. So let's take a look what he says. Says Tzitz Eliezer, "Im achisam is b'sefer shel ziknei Yehuda, lachochem italki Rabbi Yehuda Ari Mimodina." Simonim Vav of Kuf Lamed Aleph. Mashkosa b'shevach hazimur beis knesses. He was the one. He started this whole shevach hazimur beis knesses. We should be singing in shul. Al pi chochmas muzika, with all the right nigunim and the right, coloratur and all that stuff. Beheta kfeilis milei tefillah, and about repeating words in shul. He said there's nothing wrong with repeating words in shul in davening. Now Chazal say, what's a shayla? Chazal says, ha'im shma shma, shayis can I say? Ha'im meidim meidim, shayis can I say? So there's 2 ways to understand that. Does it mean you repeat any word in shul? It sounds like there's 2 rishayis, right? Or Dafka those words. You say Shema Shema, you be Mekabel Oibach Shema and say Shema Shema, then it looks like you're being over. But if you suddenly say Kesa, 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 you look, there's nothing wrong with that.
There was no singing at all with Cloud and Shul before.
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
I can't believe that. It's just not human nature. Sorry.
We'll keep going, you'll see what he
They weren't
says.
Hasidim then. Full of Hashem Tov.
After the
You
Beis
can't imagine.
Hamikdash,
I
who
know.
wants to sing?
I know,
So who's
but
the
in
first
Shul-
guy to
but in
sing after
Shul-
that?
But in Shul,
In Shul. What's Shul? Shul is what came after the Beis Hamikdash.
I understand.
That's the leftovers.
Okay, let's see. Hold on. We'll see what he says. It's quite. Hine, Aseifa Shom Einenu Medaber Klal Mahatorah Nagin Gam B'Nigunim Yagovim. So first what he says is that the Heiliga, Rabbi Yehuda Ari Modena, isn't talking about Shir HaGovim, love songs. That the Muslims just sing a lot of, all their music was like love songs. So he's not talking about love songs. The Gam the Rabbi is Lo Mangina B'Kelin. And he's not even talking about playing musical instruments in shul. He's talking about just vocals, right? That's first of all. When he comes and he goes ahead and he's praising how beautiful music is in the churches, there's beautiful music, he goes ahead, Rabbi Yehuda Aryeh, and he's bashing those who are against it. These people who are bashing music in shul were much greater than Rabbi Yehuda Aryeh in Medina, right? He's using the lashon here of the Rambam has a piece of Torah where he says that anyone who thinks that Baruch Hashem has any chelik of a guf is a kaifa. And who's on the side of the Rambam? No, the Gas Aravid, he says many people bigger than the Rambam thought that Baruch Hashem had a guf. You can't call them a kaifa because they're wrong. Of course, he doesn't have any type of guf. But to say that they're kaifrim, many people bigger than Rambam thought that Abish had a guf because it says Yad Hashem, and you're going to say they're all kaifrim because of Elam Chayv Haba. How can you say such a thing? Philosophically, it makes perfect sense because if you think Hashem has any type of physical guf, that means he's limited. Anyone that is limited, right? Because if you have a guf, it means you're not everywhere all the time. There's some type of limitation. Limitation means you're not in safe. If you're not in safe, so then there's other koiches out there.
It's not the insult.
Okay, so
Check out Shir Koma.
Shir Koma.
Shir Koma.
Okay, so mizbata bedvorim baitim. בכוונות זה שהשליח ציבור שאינם מספלים לפי זה בשם נוירים כחמורים. He says the body till they scream like donkeys. ולא ינעימו כאלה, they don't have a beautiful voice. ויקרא להם נוסנו עלי בקוילה. He reads the pasuk on them, נוסנו עלי בקוילה. I should psych him, they're screaming. כאלה לקה אביסנו בככלה וכאלה. They're screaming like dogs and like ravens.
I've seen that minion this past Friday night.
Exactly, they're screaming like these people in those days they were screaming like dogs and ravens. And there's actually letters written by English aristocrats that went to shuls, and they talk about how they came in there, it was just like disgusting. It was like, what the hell is going on? Just screaming.
Actually, I love in the Shulchan Aruch that it has to be a nice place.
V'gam etzem shivchai.
People don't listen to that halacha, but you know.
V'gam etzem shivchai es haneginim beis knesset al pi chochmas hamuzika. והשעץ שיוכל להשמיע כל היחידי כאילו 10 משיירים יחד הוא מגוחך ובלתי מקובל. This whole thing is exaggerated, doesn't make any sense, we can't accept it. וכפי שקוראים שם בעצמי, he himself writes, המסנגדים לכך היו רובם מתייסי תורה. He himself writes that most of the תייסי תורה says also to sing in shul. So we don't have to like argue with him. He himself writes that most people are against this. ולא מסקבל על דעת תורה גם מה שמתיר שם כפלס המילים. Also, it's also going to repeat words. It was a big thing. People are screaming out, repeating words in shul. When you repeat words, you ruin the kavanah. Whatever the tefillah is supposed to say. There's many other things wrong with repeating words in tefillah. We're not going to say it over here. Ulam. Don't get too excited about what this guy says. He was, I don't know how to translate fachvach. He was all over the place. He was all over the place. He was all over the place. He changed his mind like a chayim mechaysam. Good question. Chaimer is, physical substance.
Yeah.
Chaisim is signed, like,
You signed it, so I have no idea what those two words mean together.
I also do not know.
And he carries on.
Minal Mechamas neged Rabbanim v'gdalei Iroi. He's fighting with all the Rabbanim. B'tzur loy pchosa and Mechamas amaskilim neged Rabbanim daim. He's acting like a maskil.
Choisam is
Yeah.
the clay they use.
The sign clay. You just keep changing it. You keep changing the Chaimer Chaisim is clay that you imprint the stamp in it.
Yeah.
So you heat it up and then you make it wet and you can change the stamp, right? You keep changing it for different.
I see,
Beautiful,
I see,
very
I see.
good. Shkayach.
Very good.
Very good.
Which stamp?
They used to make. How do you make a stamp in those days? You took like a piece of metal that said,
You use
your
wax.
letter,
Okay,
and you
got it.
stuck it in the wax, and
Yeah.
then you stamped something with it, right? The emblem of whatever it is. But you just heated it up, and then it changes the chaimer. It just keeps changing. Okay, not just one person thought he was a kaifa.
These are strong words.
Right. Vanir mekfi edus atzmai. Take a look what he himself says. Holach bli kaiva la rosh, rechayvas kirya. He walked without a hat on his head in the streets. Here, now, if you look at the pictures of him, he doesn't have any kippah on his head at all. Right? Kaiva doesn't just mean he didn't wear a yarmulke, a hat. He didn't wear a kippah at all. So he's saying this guy walking around with gulach, without a hat on.
Talmud of the Maram shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we're going to see. So the people that argue with the people that argue with the Tzitz Eliezer, they say, yeah, it was a big machlokes. There was many places in those days that held you're not mechuyev to wear a kippah. There's no chiv to wear a yarmulke.
This is your next question.
Right. So that's his next question. He talks about the chiv to wear a couple, right, or a hat, right? But he held that you're not mechuyev to wear a kippah.
Charlotte's a double hat, not a keeper.
Right. So there was many places that held. Nowadays it's Muslim. Everyone agrees you have to wear a kippah. But in those days, 600 years ago, there were shitas that held you don't have to wear a kippah. There's no chiyuv.
Except for that.
But his Charlotte is over here, it's double. It's not just a keeper.
A hat or a kippah. He wasn't wearing anything on his head. He walked around.
On the next page.
Yeah, we'll see that. Okay.
Katan.
Right. I guess skip the back. Skip the back to the last line.
Okay, so he's saying, there's sociological.
Right. Ke'en kates לדבר זמן שמצינו להם ז"ל עשם שנעשה מטעם בחילה וזמן במקום ויאמין הישראל על החזר רב. You're going to call, will Yisrael call such a person who walks around without a head covering a Rav? Shem Yerachem. Log mo'isim misachik kadu regel b'Shabbos. There's another big machlokes that happened in Italy in those days. Are you allowed to play football on Shabbos outside? Is it called? So he laughed at people that said it's also to play football on Shabbos. Of course you're allowed to play football on Shabbos. And in those days, they talk about, you think like tennis is a new thing. There's whole truths about playing with a racket.
Really?
They explain how they used to tie strings onto a hanger or something like that, and they used to hit a kadur with it. Yeah, and in fact, the Gemara we talk about, they used to play with balls on Shabbos, and they used to play with balls. So he laughed at people that said it's also for Shabbos.
Text missing over here.
There was text missing over there. You are right. I think we're just missing like a line here. It says, he himself, he gambled. He couldn't stop himself from gambling under any circumstances. He lost enormous amounts of money. He ruined his family life. He wrote from against Kabbalah. He wrote that the Zohar is a forgery. It wasn't written by Hashem, it was written by late Talmidim. And obviously there's many people that held like that a lot of the Zohar, not all the Zohar.
Current criticism.
So basically what happened, I didn't know this, but I heard someone was being married by that. It started in Italy. Why was he talking about it back then? Because in Italy, the Vatican, who had a major power in Italy, obviously, they were in Italy. At that time, all the censor mainly started in Italy in those days. Many Jews came from Spain. They were kicked out of Spain. They came to Italy. Like Rio Levi Modena, his family kicked out of Spain. His father came from Spain or Portugal. They were kicked out. They came to Modena. They came to Italy. And a lot of the Jews came from Spain. They settled in Italy. And in Italy, the Vatican asked they burned every Gemara they could get hold of. There was no Gemaras. It was impossible to get hold of a Gemara in Italy in the 1500s. And Mefarshim, they burned everything. The only sefer that they let be in print was the Zohar. The Vatican let the Zohar be in print because there was a lot of Ramazim in the Zohar to Yoshki, the Trinity, Esespheres, all that type of stuff. They like the Zohar. And one of the reasons why they wanted to, some basically wanted to us learn Kabbalah is because people went to learn from the Goyim Kabbalah. The Knights, they learned Kabbalah. And the Jews were like, they know the stuff, let's learn from them, right? So they allowed the printing of the Zohar. That's why the Zohar was like a big thing. So there's many chuvas from Italy. That's where the Zohar started being printed. And basically there was people had all sorts of different scripts of the Zohar. This guy had this and that. And in Italy, over a couple of hundred years, they put it all together and printed what we have there is like, hundreds of pages of the Zohar. But in Italy, that's what it was all put together, right? So he came out and he said, what's going on over here? It's not Reb Shimon. He himself doesn't write half the shich, most of the Zohar is not Reb Shimon. It's people that came 200 years after him. Okay, so he himself, he's neged chibas from neged chachmas kabbalah v'zaykas lomad v'limel ischaba im anoitzim v'chaimreim. He taught and he learned from Christians and priests. Hitif lemizig chachmas yavan chachmas yavan. He tried to connect chachmas tayin and chachmas yavan. Chas v'shalom. How can you say such a thing? Okay, zilza b'dinim and hagi yisrael toich g'dach tafosay miyodei al tzarech hashmir alehem. So one side he's saying you got to keep it, the other side he's laughing at it.
It doesn't sound like you make him sound like it was really like a cover.
Yeah.
He was?
No. He's being look.
He said that Yiddish guy has to change according to the time period and the society that people find themselves in.
He would be considered their typical Haredi Rav, right? He was going with the times. He's not coming to us or anything saying, yeah, music in shul's fine, we need it. This is what the Dar needs. Everyone needs. He himself, he suffered tremendously. And actually, the first concert he put out was on the day after, or the Sunday after Shabbos Nachamu. That's when he said, like, the people need music. They need to be the simcha. People have tzaras. He was like, he would be considered very. This whole thing about the Zohar was actually a very big shita back then. Nowadays, you're like, who's against the Zohar? But you'll see that there was many people who are.
A number of people are against the Zohar still.
Yeah. So the point is that which minhagim he's against? Wearing a kippah. I don't know. Like, okay, so he held as a shita. That means he's a kaifa. Okay, he seems to be saying yeah. Okay, let's skip the next paragraph because I think okay. Skip the end of the brackets here actually. יש לי שחשים עם פסקי הלוחס שכסר כביכול ככל האלה הלוחי ואם אין תרבוסי כסרס של דייג שהוא מן הסוף ולחוץ על כן לא ימלא ולמר כלל מה שכסר בזקנה יהודה בתשובה שם אשר למייס חכם יריס נגד לי. It doesn't make any difference what this guy says. Everyone was against it. Have a nice day. על כך בחריף הזה ורואה שמגעים הבעלי גדולי תשומה ובעל דבר שמואל they're against him and become ישחיים אין ללמוד מדבר ובפסקov. And in other places also, you shouldn't learn for anything. He says, look at what he says. If it's true, learn from it. If not, forget about it. I'm not going to be too lengthy. Have a nice day. Now he's just talking about generally walking without a kippah on your head. Okay, we don't have to the rest of it. He's talking about now whether you're allowed to go without covering your head. Anyway, so fascinating tshuva. I thought I'd bring it to now. This guy that gave me a lift yesterday is just a funny story, right? So you're sitting in the car with the guy for an hour. So what'd you do? So he's actually building like an algorithm to help day traders. So I was going through the whole sugya with him about whether it's Mesacha B'Kuvin. And he's a frum guy. He came for a Chassidish and Kabbalah share. That's why the other reason I brought that because So I was telling him that like there's a whole big shaila, a whole big sugya. You'll have to day trade. So the maskana is like, so no, what's the maskana? The maskana is what we learned till now is that it's for sure not gezel, right? If you're taking money from a goy, for sure there's no gezel gambling the goy. It's not gambling because you're just buying shares. No one's losing. A guy could have bought shares for 100, sold it to you for 200. He made money. You make money. It doesn't mean just because you're buying shares the guy's losing. However, there is a shaila that the Rambam says that ain't no ezik b'shivah shalayla. That's how we paskin. You're not doing anything constructive for anyone. However, what we saw is that that's not an Issa, just your Pasal Eidos. And you're not Pasal Eidos if you have a different job. So then you do know how hard it is to make a parnasa. Then you don't have that chash. If you have another job, you're not even Pasal Eidos. There is a sheet that you are Pasal Eidos if you gamble all day, even with Goyim, because you're still your net, your eichel from your winnings, and the chayshish that you're going to lie. You don't.
What shares we talking about?
Any day trading. Well, I mean, it's muta. I'm not saying it's also. I told him go ask Karava. Huh?
Food is food.
But you can't gamble. It's day trading gambling. You're buying and you're selling within 3 seconds. It might go up, it might go down. You're flipping a coin. It's a nice way of flipping a coin, right?
It's an educated flip.
So if it's educated, maybe it's not gambling b'chal. But guess what? Every time you're racing your horse against that guy's horse, the reason why you're saying I'm betting $100 that my horse is going to win, because you know your horse. You're not an idiot. You're not gambling with someone else's horse. You know your horse. You know he's in good shape. You see the other guy's horse, you're like, I bet you $100, I'll beat you. Anytime you race cars, it's because you know what your car is, you know what his car is. You're like, my car can take your car, my horse can take yours. It's not just like, Kuvia's, you could be mechalik, you throw dice, that's mamish gambling. But hey, you're racing a horse. You know who the rider is. You know the details.
It's not a horse. It's a business.
People bet on football. They bet they track who the best boxer is. They track who the best team is. They study it their whole life, and they're like, okay, they put their money down.
So who was racing?
Okay, so here's the story. I grew up in Baltimore, right across from the Pimlico racetrack, where you held the Preakness, which is the second jewel of the Triple Crown. Right? So I grew up around people going to the racetrack, professionals. You see them early in the morning, they'd be studying the tout sheets. Like for hours in the morning trying to figure out.
It's a hard job, huh?
No, when the Preakness came, people would come from all over. And people would go, people with their infants, they'd be going in and with their kegs of beer and everything. I never saw anybody come out of there happy.
Really?
Not a single one. I've never been in a racetrack, ever. This was my experience. I never saw anybody come out happy.
I think because even when they win, they don't want to act like they won. They want to be robbed. So I had a rough day, carrying like millions of dollars. Yeah, no, people lose. The house always wins. That's what they say, right? There's a reason why Edison's worth like billions, because the house always wins. What happens is that human nature is you gamble. This is why most people who also lose money trading shares is because some professionals make money, but the people always, the how many nam lose because you just keep gambling till you lose, right? Eventually, however good your luck is, eventually, statistically, you're not going to keep landing. If you keep putting all your money down on red, you might win once, twice. Eventually, it's going to be green, and you lose all your money. So that's what happens. People end up just gambling until they lose their money. That's why the house always wins.
Do you know Tachlis what the bottom line of this soccer about wearing a double hat is? What's the answer?
The meaning nowadays, especially with Moshe, it's also going to go even damas without a keeper on your head.
No. Philo with
The double hat. So I know that Rosh Shlomo Zalman, he said that my shver told me, ask Rosh Shlomo Zalman if you need to wear a hat when you daven. He was pretty close to him. He lived in Shai Chesed over there, and he said, "Choshev people nowadays don't wear hats. You can't be mechayiv someone to wear a hat." He said, "Who did he say? I can't remember. One of the Israeli prime ministers or something. He doesn't wear a hat. You can't be mechayiv to wear a hat. It's over covered. You don't respect anyone more if he comes in wearing a hat. It's sure more mechubadik to wear a suit than not to wear a suit, right?" And actually, on this exposure, I told my kids, like, these parshas talk about all the big Kohen Gadol. And I don't know, like, what we can learn from the whole thing. But one thing you learn is that how you dress is important. To look like a mensch, to look good. That is makbet.
The Kehuna is the Kohen HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not for you. So you wear the Sfarim.
It's covered the Torah. Everyone's covered the Torah. It's all covered the Torah.
Clothes and shul, it's a cover for the Torah.
Avada. Avada.
Okay, but there's minhag hamakom and zman, and in
Yes,
Israel,
I had to decide, can I wear my Bermuda suits and my Miami t-shirt, Chalamoyes, and the answer was
You're going the wrong way.
Okay.
Or Tes Zion.
Okay, Sochnach. Enough about gambling. It's giving me a cheshire to gamble.
So who was this fella who was gambling on driving around Yerushalayim? Did he win?
Mafrik and Yoni.
Yeah. Did he win?
He hasn't started yet. No, so we saw Machficha Yoinim.
I marked this as where we are.
Tes Zion?
Yeah.
No, we definitely saw that, right? This is what we saw. No.
Oh, you're all right. Right. It's
Yud Zion.
Yud.
What page?
Reish Chav Beis.
Reish Chav Beis.
Did we see? Misha ein alei b'mikra v'lei b'mishnah v'lei b'derech eretz. Someone that doesn't know Torah, he doesn't know Mishnah, and he doesn't know derech eretz. Mikra, when I say Torah, I mean chamishi chumshe Torah. That's what the Chayr means, right? Harizeh b'cheskas Rasha. We'll assume he's a Rasha. Don't pull that face. I know what you're thinking. Just because the guy's not Maritz, why is he a Rasha? Yeah. There's a chazak? No, okay.
I'm thinking,
Give me that example.
if he doesn't, how would you think he knows Mishnah and he doesn't know Torah?
No, so a guy could learn Mishnah. He never opened the Chumash in his life, but he learns Mishnah.
What's derech eretz?
No, but there's a logic here.
Well, Derech Eretz is working. He doesn't work.
That the Eidah Sheker is also.
He's a Rasha.
No, I'm saying.
How does
There's
he know?
logic.
Yeah, no, but he might be an honest guy. Why would you assume he's going to lie? Just because he's there's plenty of people who aren't Shemit mitzvahs. They don't lie. People don't lie. We say, you tell the truth. Did you see the loan? Yeah, I saw it. I assume the guy's lying just because he's not a tzaddik. Yeah, he's a Rasha. He's Pasaleis.
Can we split it? He's not a liar. He's not telling the truth.
No.
No.
No, you can't spell it. Either it's the truth or not the truth.
No, this fella, he doesn't know truth or not truth.
Yeah, he does.
He's not an idiot. He's Einstein. The guy's a genius, right? Just he's a Rasha. Guy's a Rasha.
What does this mean, Russia?
We'll see. Oh, we'll see. Very good question. It sounds a bit extreme. It's a bit extreme, right?
Which group are you going to?
What?
Which group are you going to?
Harizeh b'cheskas Rasha. So if you know someone got married and the aid was Amaretz, he didn't an Amaretz and he didn't work. It's not enough for the guy to be an Amaretz. He also doesn't work, right? V'lei b'derech eretz. The guy sits at home all day. He never opened the sefer. He doesn't have a job. He's a cheskas Rasha, right? Apostle Eidus midivreim. Apostle midrabanon, right? Lefichach. Ein meishen Eidus lamaretz. Therefore, we don't call up an Amaretz to be an Eid in the chuppah. That's why people don't give me Eidus in the chuppah. Ein meishen Eidus lamaretz. You don't give him Eidus. We'll see that the deal is someone would die. Ein meishem, but if the guy saw it happened to be an Amaretz, you can testify. Ve'im mekabel mena Eidus. Now to settle the score, he says, and if he did see it, ein mekabel mena Eidus. Amaretz shows up a base and testifies. Chabibi, you apostle Eidus. Ella imkein huchzuk. This guy's an Amaretz, right? He doesn't know halacha. And again, huchzuk she'isik b'mitzvos or b'gmilas chasadim. There has to be a chazaka that the guy does mitzvahs. He shakes the love. He's a frum Jew, and he does chesed. It's not enough. The guy just does mitzvahs. He does chesed also. V'noyeg b'darchei sharim. He does darchei sharim. He does what's right. V'yesh b'derech eretz. Alpha pishu amaretz. Even if he's a complete bore amaretz, doesn't know a thing. Ve'ein olei b'mikra v'olei b'mishnah. He doesn't know Torah. He doesn't know Mishnah. Nimtis aimek kol tam chochem b'cheskes kosher. So what turns out? Kol tam chochem is b'cheskes kosher. The guy's a tam chochem. The guy's a kosher yid. He's got cheskes kosher. This is what we say. We always use this lotion. The guy's got cheskes kosher. This is where it's come from. Actually, if so, unless you know the guy does a virus. V'chol amaret, and the guy's not amaret, b'cheskes shupasol. Actually, chzuk shahilach badachei sharm. And as we know that the guy does what's right. I heard once from a choshev yid. He said, "What's the definition of someone who's modern Orthodox?" Close your ears if you don't want to hear this. I don't agree with this shot, but just stop. It's an interesting aura. It's someone that keeps Torah mitzvahs, but he's not willing to open the Shulchan Aruch to see what it says.
What the Shulchan Aruch?
He's not willing to open up a Shulchan Aruch to see what halacha is. He'll keep halacha, but he's not willing to find out what it is. So, in other words,
It's not far from the truth. There are lots of people like that.
So Kol Tam Chochem, this is actually going back many, many years. I don't think nowadays it's like that. Nowadays there's a ripuy of Deya, and everyone's interested in learning. Even Amaratz and Gemurim, even Chalodim, they want to know. Not everyone, but I'm saying it used to be 100.
No. A lot of people don't open the Shulchan Aruch to actually learn halakha.
Right, but
they'll learn Tosfos and Ran and Rush, but
could be. I don't know that. I don't know that kilo.
Our Shulchan is making a comeback right now.
I'm learning this something. I said to them, Friday, Purim, you got to daven. What? I'm not getting up early in the morning. Finish. This was on the spot without even thinking.
He's too high. He's so drunk. He's so high. The words, they're like coming right from Shammai.
Says okay, so any Talmud Chacham is becheskes kashrus, any Amaris is becheskes psul. Chol Amaris becheskes shu pasal ad shiyuchzik shalech dachashav. B'chol mish mekabel edus Amaretz. Anyone who does accept the edus of Amaretz, koydim shtira chazakazu. Before we know he's muchzik b'kashrus, or before Adam come and say, yeah, no, this guy, he might be an Amaris, but he does keep their mitzvahs. Sorry, should make b'mitzvahs. How is that head yet? The Pesach, the Rav who accepts Zaydas as a head yet. Head yet means in English? Idiot. An idiot. Yeah, the Pesach is a head yet.
Simpleton. Simpleton is actually a better translation.
This dine is going to pay the price in the future. Shari Ma'abed Mammon Yisrael Al Pi Rishayim. He's making Yidden lose money Al Pi Rishayim.
This is sehr stark.
Sehr stark. Let's take a look into the Torah.
Maybe the fella
Reishain Zayin in the Torah. Page Reishain Zayin.
Maybe the fella got it right.
Could be.
And what do we do about that?
We haven't got Adam. That's all. We don't know. Reishain Zayin. He might be right, might be wrong. Beis Yosef. Let's take a look at the Torah first. Yud Zayin, the fourth line in the Torah. Kol shein lo b'mikra v'lo b'mishra v'lo b'derech eretz. Someone doesn't have not Misha, not Torah, not Derech Eretz. Postulators. V'nosan Rambam Tam. The Rambam gives a reason. This is very interesting. V'nosan Tam l'dova. Shekom mish yerid ad kach. Someone that went that far. You've gone that far down. You don't know one word of Chumash. You don't know Torah. Cheskos shoival roiva veris shovel yodai. That guy, we're going to assume, if you're willing to sink that low, you're going to be over all Averis that come to your hand also. There you go. That's why. So, l'chayr, if a guy didn't have the opportunity to learn, right? He didn't sink. Wasn't Yord Akach. He didn't decide, you know what, I don't want to learn a Jewish word.
I was about to say.
He was brought up in Africa. The guy is a Tinik Shanishba. He didn't make any life, he didn't make bad life choices. He just never had the chance to learn. So, maybe he is kosher edus. So, lefichach, ein moisim edus la ma'aretz, ve'mekabel edus amenu, elim ken huchzuk shu oisik b'mitzvahs, What's the
difference between Ein Mosrin Edus and Ein Makabel?
Ein Mosrin means we don't say come be an aid, come be the aid in the chuppah, come be the aid in the ksura. But and if you did, we don't makabel it. Okay. Take a look at Beis Yosef, right? Says Beis Yosef in Chov Zayin, yeah. Kol she'enai, safe parak covered the kedushin. It's a Gemara. Amas nisin, the Kol she'enai leibur mishuv leibur derech eretz. Ain't a mini yishuv. That guy isn't mini yishuv. It's like ein yishuv mishuv shaloylam. It sounds very similar, right? He's not mini yishuv. Amar V'yechanan u'posel eidus. V'yechanan says, and he's posel eidus. It's a Gemara. First Gemara in kedushin daf mem. V'nosan Rambam tam nedova shkol yoel tkach cheskosish oiver al roiv avei shovel yodel v'chei b'zeidus lama oretz. Al Ad al Pirushaim, Kol Ele Divrei Rambam Perek Yudalef Birchas Eidus.
So is this just for Mamonos or also Divrei Esther?
That'd be worse, definitely.
Chayra, everything is postulated.
Okay, so let's say your wife never learned in Beis Yaakov, but all she knew about
We
Kach
talk-
was what she
look.
learned from her mother.
She's women are postulated anyway.
But
We'll
it's
see.
her heter.
No, but she's not an Amar. She's Isaac B'Ter Mitzvah. She keeps Ter Mitzvahs.
What's the round in the puzzle?
If this Amar keeps Ter Mitzvahs, he's good, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you can have a guy. There's plenty of people out there in England. I don't know what's like in Israel who can't read Hebrew. They never learned a word. And before art school printed Sfarim, or in Europe, people couldn't read or write. There's plenty of people. Amoratz and Gemurim. Women in those days, women in Europe, till I don't know 100 years ago, couldn't read. None of them, across the board. Women couldn't read Bechlal, Hebrew. They read Yiddish, right? but none of them could read Hebrew. All the Sfarim for women were written in Yiddish.
Really?
Yeah. All the Sfarim for women are in Yiddish. It's all in Yiddish. Women couldn't read Hebrew. They could barely open a siddur and read from the siddur, and that was it. They didn't know what they were saying.
Really?
It was like Sistrei Torah for them, 100%.
Women can't be trusted. The whole halacha is women are not trusted to make believe Thomas.
We could trust the rat that he went and he took out the chomers, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, says the Heilige Beis Yosef. כל הדבר רמב"ם גלח בחזידס, ומה שכוסו לפי חן מויס ואידס לעם הארץ, לא מכן הרמב"ם מדתני בפסוחים, ספר כאלוהים. עם הארץ אין מויס ולא אידס, ומקבל ממנו אידס. That's a Gemara in Pesachim. You don't give him, you don't מקבל. כלומר, אין מזמין אין אייסי להיד לשמוע. That means you don't tell him, come a witness, be the witness.
Where you now?
ומקבל ממנו אידס, huh?
Where are you now?
We're in the Beis Yosef, 8th wide line. ואין מקבל ממנו אידס, שאין יודע לכוון. We don't accept edus from him. Oh, this is what you were saying. This is someone who said this. Not because we think he's going to lie. He's not, he's not on the money. He's not good enough. He's low level. V'hiksha Rif, as the Rif, as Midomer of Papa Gibor Chagiga, Kamama Kabna Idna Sadus and Mama Aretz. The Gemara says, how do we accept edus nowadays from Amaratzim? That's what Gemara asks, right? Kaman mekabma idna. How do we accept today? Sadusa edus mama aretz. Rabbi Yosi, we say Rabbi Yosi. The Amasam they ma'akol ne'emanim al tarsiyai Meshem and kol yimei sashana kadesh lekorecha vecha beina bamla atzmai. Why are we saying Maratzim? Why are we saying Maratzim? Says Rabbi Yosi. Massive, tremendous chiddush. And this maybe also applies to why we sing in shul nowadays and why we do a lot of things. Says Rabbi Yosi, we accept the Maratzim. Why? If we don't accept the Maratzim, they're going to go and build their own bomber. They'll build their own shul or whatever the hell they want. Right? These are Maratzim. You don't accept them in our courts. They'll say, okay, the Jews don't accept us in the Jewish court. We'll make our own base then. And then you're left with nothing. That's what Rabbi Yosi says. So we've got to accept them. I guess there's too many Amaratzim. I don't know. The Tiritz, the Ma'aretz, the Chagiga, So that's Rabbi Yosi. Rabbi Yosi says we can accept the Eidos. So why does Papa say no Eidos and he says yeah Eidos? Because the Amaretz, the Chagiga, Yisub Derech Eretz. The Amaretz in Maseches Chagiga is talking about a guy that works. He's Amaretz, but he works. The Amaretz Pesachim, Leisa B'derech Eretz. He doesn't work. There's two types of Amaratzim. Amaretz that works, kosher. Amaretz that doesn't work, also.
Is the definition of someone who is not working Yoshua Kronos?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Is that what it refers to or not? Or is it just people who they work and then they,
the guy ain't got a job. He's rich or he's snores from society or he's a ganef. The guy hasn't got a job. What do you do? I get by. What do you get by? So you're ganef.
You're just jealous.
Right? ולפי דבריו צריך להם הדחיק, תעני הם מקבלים עדס, we don't accept from עדס, משמע דקבולים לא מקבלים לעבוד בדיעבד עדס עדס. It says הם מקבלים עדס, that's לכתחילה בדיעבד you can, לאו דווקא. עם הארץ כי היי פוסל עדס, that type of עם הארץ, it doesn't work, he's פוסל עדס even בדיעבד. היינים לא יברק אלוהים מישהו בדרך הארץ, the guy doesn't work, he doesn't lie, he knows nothing, he's פוסל עדס even בדיעבד. אבל רש"י פירש בחגיגה, the Pliba Pesachim, Rashi says no. There's a machlekes and sugyas. So either do we say there's two different. One mahalach is that there's two different types of Maratzim. Here it's Amaratz that does work. Here it's Amaratz that doesn't work. Rashi says no. There's Pesachim and Chagiga chayek. With the vibe Amaratz the leise b'mikra v'lemishnah v'yis v'derachetz. They're both talking about a guy that doesn't learn Torah Mishnah, but he does work. V'yis v'derachetz are mitzvahs. Even though he works and he has mitzvahs, he's still going to be possible. He's kosher le'edus because he works and he keeps mitzvahs. We shouldn't accept lechatchila. Don't give this guy that doesn't know Torah mitzvahs. So So there's two ways to mechalel it into sugyos. Here it says ein moisrim, right? And then it says mekablin. One mahalach is b'diavad lechatchila, or different types of amoratzim. V'idin mekablin samchin another b'yasi because of Aran. Sh'divei Rashi yosin achayim. The Ran says he likes Rashi. He likes Rashi. One is the Chatchila, one is B'diavad.
According to Rashi, if somebody's an Amoritz and he's Mechal Shabbos, because he's an Amoritz, so it should also be okay.
B'diavad.
Yeah, sure, David.
The Chatchila ain't Moisim. If he's not Ma'aretz, I mean, if you're right, no, because we learned before that no one's never to say he doesn't know it's also to keep Shabbos, that you to keep Shabbos. There's certain things even Amoritz knows.
He doesn't know that you can't.
So if he does Bayra, right, he's Kosher Edus. If he didn't know Bayra, he didn't know the Shulchan Aruch spoke about, he doesn't know Kesher Matir. The guy who ties on Shabbos, you say, hey, Pasal Edus. No, he didn't know. That we believe him. If a guy says, I didn't know you're not allowed to, turn on the lights on Shabbos, like, where have you been your whole life? That we don't believe the guy, right? Varash kos of al divrei Rif. The Rosh says, al divrei Rif, v'lo yadana maya kosher lo rif. Ma'ideh chagiga. The kama lesudos ma'amaros. Da'ad rabba. Ma'asa muchach the pasal le'edus kedam ha'acha. She'em kamenu el shtichan anachshiro lekabel mem edus. She'marina merach yumaysim b'yeser. If we push away these amoratzim too much, hayoisim das latzvam. They'll make their own religion.
They already have.
They'll make their own dayanim. They'll become like the Rabbanut in Israel. You like that one, huh?
Yeah, that was good.
Dayanim metoichem kedamar b'yesi asam mepnei ma omra kol nemanim al taris yai mishemen v'ak amar of papa kaman b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b'b' We're going to wrap it up here. We shouldn't, minadin, we shouldn't accept this Amaretz. He's an Amaretz. We have to be chayshes for B'yeshi Svara, that he's going to open up his own religion.
The question here is.
Okay, we'll see tomorrow. We'll carry on.
So the question-
Tomorrow's Friday. Okay, so Sunday. Bli Ned, we
The
should
question
go
here
outside.
is not a question of do we believe or not that they know how to differentiate what they saw from what is not true. That's not the question. The question is more of a procedural or protocol question in some sense.
So it's a Machlekes festival. If